Hello, my name is Stephanie, and I come from the state of Maine, United States. And I am here today in Montenegro for Dr. Filonov's retreat. I am presently on day 2 of my dry fasting here, and feeling pretty good. What brings me to this retreat is a very long and intense battle that began following a tick bite in 2009. And I was one of those people that symptoms came on just very gradually and subtly. So they flew under the radar, probably under the radar for a few years before I started seeking medical attention for the ever-growing number of symptoms: musculoskeletal, heart palpitations, fatigue, and really wasn't finding answers. I did at one point test negative for Lyme disease and would later find that that test was inaccurate. So I was at a place in my life where I was embarking on a new marriage, a new home in a beautiful rural location in Maine, and raising a young daughter who was only 4 years old at the time when I first started becoming sick. And this was really a dream come true. I was left a corporate career behind and was pursuing an artistic endeavor, becoming a ceramic artist, and my work was just starting to become known, and the galleries were calling, and really just a beautiful time in my life. But I had these, ill symptoms that were really starting to make day-to-day living pretty difficult. And about that time, I had a sudden onset of extreme neurological symptoms in my neck and my arms, shoulder, chest, throughout my rib cage. There was just this incredible squeezing tight sensation. My heart became quite erratic in its beating, and at this point, it was really rather terrifying. And doctors thought maybe there was an injury. They were having a difficult time ascertaining the source of this, but it was pursued as an injury, possibly from all the physical therapy that I was going through. But then the symptoms progressed, and I began losing the use of my arms, unable to any longer do my ceramic work, and it also spread throughout the left side of my body. And the weakness and loss of function continued to deteriorate over a number of months while I sought treatment. And eventually, I did become bedridden and rarely was able to leave the house, and ultimately found someone who tested me again more thoroughly for tick-borne illness. And we did, in fact, learn I had Lyme disease, co-infections, tick-borne relapsing fever, and several other co-infections. I went through probably about a year of antibiotic therapy, fairly intense. And that certainly halted the progression of my symptoms and reversed some of them. However, the neurological difficulties really were not improving. I saw a Yale neurologist who determined through MRIs that I had demyelination of my cervical spine, which is an attack on the outer coating, protective coating of your spinal cord, similar to what happens to patients with multiple sclerosis. And with that explained why I had lost the use of my arms and was unable to look down at a computer or read a book. I had difficulty even sitting to watch the television, and I had extreme sensitivity to motion, being in the car, light, sound, all of these things, and too many more symptoms to even list. But they were profoundly impacting my day-to-day existence. During that time, I still believed this was just a problem to be solved, and we needed to continue embarking on new therapies. And I had found kind of the limits of antibiotic therapy. I sought, alternative therapies as well. But I tend to be a very scientific-minded person, and with that, I need a lot of research and I need a lot of data before I make decisions to move forward. And I spent a number of years using whatever tiny resources I had physically and mentally to research for my health benefits. And one of the first things I did was turn to nutrition. And there's a whole lot of scientific data that supports nutrition and inflammation and healing. And I certainly made gains probably around the year 2014. I had changed my diet, even though I'd been a snowboarder, a kayaker, someone who was very health-minded, eating organically. There was still much more to my ability to improve my nutrition, and I did those things, and I definitely saw some improvements with that. However, my functioning day to day still was remaining profoundly impaired. Ultimately, I ended up being referred to some of the top medical centers in New England, in Boston. I went to Spalding Rehab. I had speech therapy, occupational therapy, all types of physical therapy. And again, all of these things were helping, but day to day, I am still rarely leaving the house. I am not able to work. I am not able to engage in any kind of regular social activity. I would go months without seeing folks. And again, the quality of life still not quite getting me living. And the story goes on till I eventually enroll in a couple of clinical trials. I was diagnosed with myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is a form of chronic fatigue that for many people is incredibly debilitating and very mysterious. We're learning that it appears to be post-viral, post-infectious, post-Lyme. And I did find myself in that category, and I also researched and found a Harvard researcher who was focusing on this group of people, and learning that those of us with the heart issues and exercise intolerance and shortness of breath, that we all were sharing a common defect in our cardiovascular system that was not going to be detected through traditional cardiology testing and reports. So essentially, this condition is called heart preload failure, and it's a failure of our body system to bring adequate blood pressure up to our hearts or our brains, which explains the extreme intolerance to exercise of any type, including the ability to stay seated for an extended period of time, to walk, climb stairs, and certainly doing any kind of exercise at all cause profound disabling symptoms. Sometimes found myself having to lay right down on the ground wherever I was until I could recover. And usually after exertion, there would be an extreme flare of symptoms the next day or 2 days later. Could go on for days, could go on for weeks, but profound flu-like symptoms could be flared by this type of exertion. Dr. David Systrom is his name. Again, he's a Harvard researcher at Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts, and he leads the cardiac catheter lab there, where he does this invasive testing, and because of that, I found the system failure that was behind at least a large number of my disabling symptoms, along with the issues I was having with my central nervous system. And I'm so grateful to have been in his clinical trial, which was published this spring. I tested the drug Mestinon for about a year. About 30% of his patients do have success with that drug. I was an excellent candidate, and we thought for sure that this was going to do it for me. But unfortunately for me, after a year, the side effects were intolerable, and I had to stop the drug. Went back to my research, and ultimately came across Michelle Slater's book, Starving to Heal in Siberia. And after reading that, nearly every word of her story resonated with me, living life primarily housebound and bedbound, and the feeling that I very much wanted to live. I had not lost the desire to live. It's my sincere goal to return to the life that was waiting for me. But, it had been a decade, and it was a lot of suffering. And I genuinely had found a place in my life where I was living for the two daughters in my life that needed me to show up in whatever condition I was in. And therefore, enduring life was well worth it. And I'm so glad that I did, because after reading Michelle's book, I started researching to find Dr. Filonov, and I did. I found his books. I started studying fasting and dry fasting, and did manage to find Dr. Filonov through Health Universe, and I found him on Instagram. Was immediately, as I reached out, I got an immediate response, made my way to a consultation with Dr. Filonov just this spring, in May. And as soon as I learned that there was a retreat available coming up in Montenegro, I was all in. And there's a 21-day program, cleansing and preparation. And I began following that. There were special instructions that the doctor had for me in my case, considering my cardiovascular situation. But as I began following the protocol, I was already starting to see some improvements in my symptom reduction. And I was still struggling quite a bit with cognitive issues, and I did make a mistake. And I moved forward with a dry fast, 2-day dry fast, before I had completed the cleansing protocol. During that 2-day fast, I did have a pretty dramatic experience. It was intense, and in my case, I did need to seek some medical attention. However, that was just to rule out that something worse was going on other than an acidosis crisis or a detoxification situation. And I was fine. I just needed to get through the symptoms. And 3 days later, those symptoms had completely resolved. And not only had those symptoms resolved, but virtually all of my miserable neurological symptoms that were a plague to me night and day, they were virtually gone. It's been 3 months, and they continue to be gone. So I resumed the 21-day protocol, met with the doctor again, followed his instructions to the letter. And again, it was a mistake that I had, again, just missed that detail of don't begin with a 2-day dry fast until you've completed the protocol, which was my mistake. However, the outcome still continues to be amazing. And I completed that protocol and got myself prepared. My other fasts went much smoother. And here I am on day 2 of my dry fast in Montenegro. And I guess we'll need to stay tuned to see how day 3 goes, because that will be a big step for me. But I'm really looking forward to it. Hello, I'm on day 3 of my dry fast, and this is day 2 of the retreat here in Montenegro. And I'm pretty excited because at this point it's going on the evening, and I have exceeded my previous time practicing dry fasting at home. And so I'm really thrilled that I'm doing quite well. I have, moments where I feel a little tired and weak, and, I lay down and rest. I listen to my body and recover and move on. And so right now I'm feeling really, really good. Yesterday I talked a lot about the illness that brought me here. And I'm kind of reflecting on the fact that I'm sitting here providing information on this video diary that 5 months ago I was watching other people trying to make my decision about whether this was going to be right for me. And I really was hanging on every word that people were saying because I just didn't know what it was really going to be like. And I can't believe that I am here now myself. There's a crashing surf right in front of me. Can't tell from the brown curtain behind me, but there's just an incredible ocean in front of me. What has possibly surprised me the most is how amazing it is to be here in this environment with the other people, with Dr. Filonov and his team. I really wasn't sure. I mean, other people kept saying, oh, it's so great, and the people are so great. But it was really great. It's just been incredible. The other thing that I'm kind of in awe of today is the fact that, 6 months ago, I was struggling to leave my house without returning to it and having an incredible blowback of symptoms and suffering for, days on end. And that's the way I lived for a decade, which I genuinely didn't consider to be really living. My career was gone. My ability to work at all was gone. And on the rare occasion that I actually had to go somewhere that required flying, I required wheelchair assistance. And generally, when I got to my destination, there had to be people there to take care of me for, up to 4 days while I suffered through tremendous neurologic misery. And this neurologic misery was something that I just had to live with, or not live with, but exist with for so many years. And this time, after going through the 21-day protocol, in preparation, and a lot of preparation that I had been doing for years before with feeling that I had an immaculate diet, I realized by going through the program that it was truly a masterclass in health and in preparing for our health. And so even I had room to grow there, and I have grown tremendously through that program. And during that program, there are incremental steps, and these were things that maybe someone feels, I'm just such a healthy eater, and I don't take a lot of drugs or anything else, or I don't even drink wine. I don't. If I drink some pharmaceutical medicines. But anyway, the idea that we are living a healthy life, and by doing this protocol, I realized wow, there's just so much more to learn. And I did learn, and I felt the difference. And with each fasting, for me, I have to take it really, really slowly. I'm only able to make incremental steps. And by taking my time and following the doctor's advice and following the protocol, I found myself boarding a plane from Boston alone with no assistance and no wheelchair assistance, flying into Istanbul, no assistance, and making my way to Montenegro again with no assistance, and 1 hour taxi that normally would, any combination of those things would have been devastating for me. And I was just fine. In fact, before I began the dry fast here, I even took the dip in the Adriatic Sea and a small hike up the beautiful mountainous area that we're in. And I mean, I just can't believe that this is me. And I really want to offer that hope to people, especially people in the ME, CFS, and Lyme disease community who have really tried everything possible, and they're not living, just not living, but existing and suffering and losing hope. I'm here to say there's hope. It's happening for me right before my eyes. So with that, I will talk again tomorrow. Hi, I'm on day 3 of the retreat here in Montenegro, and for me, this is day 4 of my dry fast. Today has been a tougher day. I'm quite certain that last night I began the healing crisis, and in previous fasts that I've done for short durations, I did experience this before. And so I recognize the symptoms, and they can be tough. And last night was tough. Today was tough. But for me, the great news is that my cardiovascular symptoms that usually bring my fast to a halt once the acidosis crisis starts seem to be holding off this time. So if I can endure the pain that is happening in my body, which Dr. Filonov has said, when we're experiencing those pains, we are experiencing pain for a reason. This is areas of healing. And for me, it makes a lot of sense, because the areas where I do experience discomfort and pain are areas that I know I have had trouble with. So for me, it makes perfect sense. And I'm really excited to have exceeded my previous dry fasts in time. And it looks like I'm going to make it through day 4. And that for me is a real victory. And getting on to day 5, if I can tough through, which I know I will, as long as my heart sticks with me, I am going to get through that. And I do believe one of the things that is also helping is not only from, going at your own pace and preparing. The shorter fasts do help train your body for this. And I do feel that each time I do this, I get stronger. But being here in Montenegro with this supportive group of people was so much more than I ever could have expected. Why we're really cheering each other on, and that positive energy just takes you so far. In addition to that, having the body work done. Body work is tough, but it can be some of the deepest, best massages you've probably ever had in your life, and I got a lot of massages during this journey. The therapeutic modalities that are being used, I think all of these things are aiding in my ability personally to keep moving forward and keeping my more serious symptoms at bay. So you have that. I'm having a little bit of a dry mouth and a symptom flare in terms of just wanting to conserve my resources so I can move forward to day 5. So we'll see. Well, I made it to day 5 for fasting. This is day 4 of the program here in Montenegro. And I was thrilled this morning to wake up and have total relief from the pain that I'd been experiencing from the healing crisis. That is to be expected. But it had passed this morning, and I was thrilled to realize I had made it to day 5. Very, very dry. I'm not thinking about food at all, but I am thinking about water. And I just really try not to. Just keep passing this mantra to myself. repeating it, I am at peace and I am exactly where I need to be right now. And I do believe that. Had some therapies today. I never dreamed that I would heard about bee venom therapy, but I always figure that's not for me. But, the whole group is doing it, and I went along with that, and I have had multiple rounds of bee therapy, and we're going to see how that goes in terms of healing. I understand it's a really powerful healer, traditional medicines, and there are other countries outside of Western society that use this routinely. So with that, I'm going to see if I can make it through to day 6. We're almost there. Hello, it's day 6 of the Montenegro retreat. And this morning, again, what would have been 7 for me, but when I went down to see the doctor for my daily check-in and massages and treatments, the doctor checked my blood pressure and it was too high, and that is a very clear, firm exit. So the doctor insisted that we stop today. And I was a little in disbelief because I was sort of battling my way at least to another day. But then Svetlana, seconds later, shows up with a glass of steaming hot water. And I was just completely baffled and overwhelmed in the best way possible. And I'm like, is this for me? She's like, yes. I'm like, I can drink it. And I can tell you that it tasted like honey water. It was absolutely delicious. The most delicious water I've ever tasted. I couldn't believe it was just plain filtered water. So that felt incredible. Then I went on to have a treatment that got my lower GI going. Because I can say for me, I've gone through the crisis pains. I did those at home. I experienced those at home as well. The healing pains, the cycle that often indicates that you are having an acidosis cycle of healing. And they're really, really tough. But I got through it. And the morning that I woke completely pain-free and excited, I discovered I had these lower GI issues that came as a total shock because I felt like I had been very well prepared. And they plagued me for a couple of days to the point where I considered having to exit as a result of them. They were that difficult. But I persevered, and in the end, it was the doctor's orders. So I would like to comment on the preparation process, again, which has been kind of an integral part of my story, and say that in retrospect, what may have been more helpful for me would have been perhaps to not have any dinner whatsoever at all before the night, even though I just ate fresh vegetables and a tiny serving of white boiled rice. Wasn't necessary. I really wasn't that hungry, and I didn't really need it. And I think that skipping dinner would have been smarter. I also think that before leaving on the very long journey, perhaps doing a water enema before departing could have been helpful to just sort of get things started and cleared out. I think those things could have been potentially very helpful for me because I was trying to do everything properly, keep walking very, very slowly. But in the end, probably the other thing that was to be expected with me that made the journey so difficult was my cardiovascular issues. And as I go further into the retreat, that was expected to happen, that I would find it increasingly difficult. But what's so amazing this time around is that I doubled my time of fasting And during that time, those issues flared much later in the process than in the past, which for me holds a really strong evidence that I am continuing to heal on top of the healing, the massive healing that I know took place back in my hometown when I had just a 2.5 day fast. That was incredible. So with that, I have doctor's orders to go rest and relax. And I have showered. I didn't yet have the strength to wash my hair. That will come later. But I have clean clothes on, and it feels really good today. I feel satisfied. I am on day 8 at the retreat in Montenegro. And for me, this is my first day of exit after having 2 days of water fasting. I finished my dry fast 2 days ago. Doctor had ordered for me to exit because of heart rate. And, he's very strict about these things, does not push those boundaries. And so with that, I was done and the water began, and it's amazing. And I probably have found the most difficult thing over the last couple of days was trying to resolve the lower GI issues that I've been talking about. And I am finding that today, hour by hour, I'm feeling stronger. Things are moving in the right direction, and I'm just starting to feel this sense of elation, not only for having succeeded at just getting here and going through this, but I'm just totally filled with awe of what we're doing here, of what the doctor is doing and everyone who's supporting. I keep thinking of all the years and years and expense that went into so many treatments and so many different modalities. And every day that I go in for treatment here, I just don't know where else a person could go to have so much incredible work done on their body. It is tough. There is no way around it. But man, I just can feel it working in ways that years of this hadn't even barely scratched the surface. So I'm thrilled about that. And I'm also, for my personal experience, what I'm physically feeling, last 2 days, lots of sleeping, just trying to take care of myself. This morning when we started with the Bolotov Way, I was pleased and happy. But to be honest with you, food and water really hasn't been so much of my challenge. I kind of really got it out of my mind. And it really was working through the healing crises that do bring about a lot of pain, and feeling that move through your body and then go away. I think there are moments where you think like, oh, this is just never going to pass. And then it does. You wake up the next day and it's passed. So again, I woke up today and it passed. I've had my Molotov Way. I've had the compote, which is wonderful. Tonight there will be vegetable soup. I can't wait. I'm now thinking about food and enjoying every minute. So again, let's see what tomorrow brings. This is day 9 of the retreat in Montenegro, and it is day 2 or 3. I've just lost track of my exit. It's day 2 of my exit. And this morning I was feeling, there was a nice bowl of kashi that was brought to me, but I still felt like, no, I need to eat lightly. I opted for soup. I'm sticking with keeping things light. I'm feeling my body starting to renourish almost hourly, much as yesterday. Again, today, I'm also finding that the group energy, people starting to come back together as they all are, exiting in different days, but we're coming together and meeting together. And it just feels so great to get to know people better, to find that support in the fact that we're doing something pretty extraordinary, and we are in this together. There's a crazy wild storm going on, and we've been talking about us all letting go of the illnesses, and they're all going out to sea, stirring up the sea, and it seems right. For my treatment today, I consulted with a doctor, and in my situation back home during a relatively short fast, I seem to wipe out some of the worst neurologic miserable symptoms that plagued me every minute of every day, 24/7, for nearly a decade. And I know that sounds shocking and extraordinary, but that's what the fast did for me. So what I'm here now to cope with is this fast, bringing back the repair and heal of my cardiovascular system, which is something that has to do with the circulation in my body, not bringing an adequate blood supply to my heart. So normally I cannot stay upright for long periods of time without reclining. And I rely on the use of compression garments and other things that get me through a day. But the doctor says it's time to let go of those crutches. We're going to let that go. And now, while we're in the healing process, we're going to let my body take over. So we're going to see how I do, not wearing my garments and using my crutches. I'm here on day 10 of the retreat in Montenegro, and I just wanted to try to share a little bit about what today has been like, and then perhaps maybe talk about some of the things that I had to consider before coming. Today, I felt strong and well enough. I had a good night's sleep, and I was able to make it to the morning meditation with Michelle that I had been missing a number of mornings, and I was so sad about that. So I was thrilled that I was able to get up and be here on time and have the meditation with her. And I have been active all day. It has been a full day. So treatment today involved leeches, something I thought I would never do. But there's a tremendous amount of research behind this and history behind this, and leeches were applied to my heart area. And apparently they did some good cleaning. And I guess I felt, I just didn't feel any trepidation about that, although at home I had. But once I was here, and it just felt like the next step, and I wasn't worried, and it went fine. It went fine. So leech is done. After that, we just had it felt like a full day of me being upright and communing and eating and kind of all celebrating that we all have exited. Everyone has made it through their individual time frames and goals, and that was lovely to celebrate. And back to thinking about, things that I may have had concerns about in terms of trying to make a decision to come here. And initially it was just making sure that this was going to be right for me. Watching others provide their testimonials from the past, other retreats, was very, very important to me. And I really paid attention to what they were saying. I also just, dove very heavily into fasting research once that was on my radar. And there's just an abundance of scientific research. I think the magazine The Economist has listed fasting as the hottest research topic right now. And of course, probably be at some point a pharmaceutical attempting to replicate, but I cannot imagine anything could replicate the process of what we are doing on our own with the modalities that have been made available to us here. Regardless of that, the data is there, the science is there. Dry fasting, a little harder to research or find data to support that because it's just not been widely available to the Western world, but it is there. Beyond that, I felt comfortable with the science. I felt incredibly comfortable with the doctor, the team. I guess it was an added bonus that Michelle Slater, the author of Starving to Heal in Siberia, that she was also here. But I think that for me, it just was a matter of preparation, that I really needed to practice and prepare. And I know we're probably all saying this, but the preparation I really, really believe is key. And that means also not only following the steps that have been outlined for us in the program, but mentally trying to be prepared that there's no linear way that this is going to go. Everybody's experience is individual, and one person's experience may not be how yours goes, and that's okay. We may feel worse or better at different times through our time here. Maybe it's on the exit, but I felt like I was prepared that it could be pretty rocky and be ready for anything. And maybe that's helped, that maybe that's helped for me. In either case, I think that's really important that we have our expectations in order. Lastly, just the incredible support here. Just can't say enough about it. So, again, I know I'm in the right place. Tomorrow is the last day of the program here in Montenegro. And I just want to say that the whole experience has been incredible. Ups and downs, of course. Today, we are on a very up day, which feels wonderful. The leeches that I was so not looking forward to were no big deal, really. And I even spent some time looking at the scientific research on that. I kind of hung up on those things, and voila, it's there. You can find it. And within 24 hours of having that treatment, along with some other supportive treatments, I have felt an expansion in my chest and a lightness. There's a heaviness and a shortness of breath that I have lived with for such a long time. And today I felt that clearing in a very, very big way. I think I mentioned before that Dr. Filonov took away my compression garments, which I call my crutches. These are what have been helping me stay upright in some ways. They have their limits, but they were very helpful. And I'm speaking today about how incredibly well I feel without the crutches, not having used them for a few days. I think it's important to also say that I know I'm kind of outpouring with enthusiasm about the progress that I feel like I am making, because I am feeling the progress. Perhaps it's been because I've been on such a long journey, and I know there are sputters and stops and setbacks, and not everything rolls out neatly in terms of healing or a treatment modality. But I can honestly say I'm just amazed. I'm really, I just can't say enough about the comprehensiveness of the combination of the dry fasting, accessing the autophagy,
the preparation that went into getting me here. Then when you combine that with the therapeutic modalities that are being applied every day and tailored to our individual needs as needed. And for me, this is exactly what I needed. I do expect that the journey is going to continue. I'm under no illusion that I'm going to wake up in a few days and be 100% cured, although I can certainly say that I have come awfully close to feeling that could actually happen. At this point, again, the healing that I have experienced so far in the preparation and the work that I did for getting here, I can't say enough about that. Huge deal. I spent 5 or 6 months getting ready. I know not everybody's going to do that, but I did, and it was worth it. And the recovery began then, or the clearing began then, the cleansing began then, and now we've got post-fast, and over the next 3 weeks to a month, we will actually be starting to realize the healing power of regenerative stem cells. Again, look it up. Go to MIT or Baylor College or UCLA, and they are all studying the effects of fasting and autophagy's effect on our body's ability to heal. Beyond that, incredible support, beautiful environment to be in, and I just feel incredibly grateful. Thank you.